All right, hello. My name is Daniel Gleis. I'm the creative and technical director at here at ED Films. And for a really quick, unofficial stream, another one, I have to take this character puppet or character model that I built for my short film, Return to Harry Hill, and I have to bring it into 3D code so I can sketch on the model and then create a texture map that I can then use in Rebelle to actually do the painting that I want. So I know there's a couple of things in the model that I have to fix, but I've applied a basic paper texture to it, but this is unnecessary for what I actually need to do. So I'll just give you a quick overview of what we have here. I have a character that I've modeled, and she's fairly easy, simple because I'm using paper. I'm using kind of a paper model approach. So there's a simplicity to her, but she's also more difficult than your average character because she has a lot of underlying architecture that keeps her that kind of makes her go. So what we have to do before I bring her into 3D code is I have to prepare her as an OBJ file, and this is something similar that you would have to do if you were using Substance. Mm. So I have a bit of maybe an unconventional workflow with these specific characters, and what I've got is each character I've grouped together what is the equivalent of UV tiles, and I've tried to arrange them in ways that they're separated by material. So this character, for instance, here, or what I just selected, this is all the skin stuff. Essentially, what would sit in the underlying armature. Now, that doesn't mean you can't apply a different material to it, but I'm just setting it up that this is something I'd be able to draw on and easily understand when I'm drawing on the UV map what I'm looking at. So I try to break things up into 4K texture tiles that I would be able to use because I'm trying to keep everything under 8K. I'm trying to keep everything in a one space for UV maps because I don't think Unreal or Unity support textures that live outside of the 1 UV space. So as soon as you start jumping outside of here, only certain programs will understand those, and things like Mari, Mudbox, render engines like Maya and all that stuff, they get these spaces. But if you're in a game engine thing, I don't know if Quixel does, but Quixel doesn't support multi-tiled UV maps. So it's better if you just live here. Multi-tiled UV maps are really useful when you're moving in this space because you could you could have a face take up the entire thing and then have and all still be part of the same object on multiple tiles. So I could have the face, part of the arm, and everything. I could have my textures be a little bit lower resolution, and have more of them. But I can't do that. You could also use UV sets. I mean, that's another option as well. Hello again, Ahmed. I think it is Ahmed. Welcome to the stream. It's unofficial. I don't know how long it's going to be. It's probably going to be like half hour or 40 minutes. I've got to leave at 4:15. But this is a task I have to get done before I leave today so I can bring this home and paint on it tonight. So, anyways, what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate the character. I've already separated the character into groups that are UV tiles. So each one of these groups, like I was just saying, is a UV shell. So you see it's all like right there. Um, and so what I'm going to do is apply a unique material to each one of these because programs like 3D Coat, Substance, Mudbox even, and if you use Element for After Effects, they all understand stuff from from different materials. They separate the OBJ by materials. Um, yeah, I will be. I'll be showing you guys how I'm doing the cloth and everything for these characters. Absolutely. I'm actually really excited to show you guys how that's working. But I'm probably going to do mostly live streams for now, and then I'll start doing then I'll start doing the more tutorial based stuff. I'll keep chipping away at those. All this stuff I'm doing right now, I'm actually recording, and I'll be able to port over to tutorials, and also a head rig in the Duic Bessel. Again, I am doing that. That's one of the things we're doing with the empty rig that you guys, I don't know if you've seen on some of my other streams, I built that empty rig. There is going to be a head rig in there, which is a layered head rig that you can use with a look at control and all that kind of stuff. And that will be part of the package. I'll show you guys when I'm building that online as a stream. I'm not sure it'll be next week, I think. Maybe after Tuesday, because I got to prep all this stuff for Tuesday. The 3D stuff for Tuesday, but that I'll show you how to do the head setup and stuff, and then that'll be part of a live stream, and it will also be part of the sample material of the empty rig, which you'll be able to buy from our store at some point for really cheap. It'll, But you'll be able to at least see how to build your own. So yes, short answer, long answer. Okay, so the first thing I have to do with this whole character is these are already grouped into materials. I'm going to assign it new materials that are really, really, really basic because I don't want to bring in all this like texture data from the paper. So I'm just going to create new material on it, and I'm going to use Lambert's, and I'll just call this. Oops, I'm just going to call this matte neck, head, neck, arms, and legs. So this way that when I'm opening it in 3D Coat, it will actually, I'll know what I'm looking at based on the material. I'll know what the UV map set is. Same thing with this. I can just copy this name like that. Select it again. Assign a new material. And this one I'll call a matte as well. And then this one, we already did this one. Hair. Okay, and then this one. I know the names are pretty extreme and long, but doesn't matter. Ugh, what did I just do? I'm trying to move fast here. Assign a new material. Okay. Looks like there's already, I'm going to get rid of these DGs on everything. And I'm also going to go into the hyper shader. Actually, I'm going to save a backup of this scene file because this one's very specific. So I'm going to say new folder, and I'll say for 3D coat. So I'm saving this file a little differently, and you'll see why in a second. Okay, so that's done. That's done. I'm going to just change these material names on some of these things here. I'll get rid of the DG because it's just making the name longer, and it's probably having conflicting issues because I already have materials named that. Matte DG hair. Let's go matte hair. Oops, that was not what I wanted to do. Okay, that's fine. Okay, that one's fine. Okay, I think I got all of them. Yes. Yes, hair, antlers. That was already part of one. Yes. Okay, dress. Yes, okay. All right, and then I'm just going to open up the outliner just to get rid of the extra hypershade. Sorry, not the outliner, the hypershader. And I'm just going to get rid of unused nodes. Okay, so now we should have matte hair, matte head, neck, arms, legs, blah, blah, blah. Matte skirt top, yep. Matte torso sleeves, trim antlers, and why do I have two of these? Let's go select objects with material. And let's look at the second one. Select. Oh, that should be called matte skirt. Matte skirt dress. Okay. Now the thing I have to do is now that I have the materials assigned to each group, I could make them different colors just to make things a little more obvious. Actually, let's just do that really quick. Just so we know. It just makes it so that we know everything has an assigned color to it. That'll be white. So that we'll see if anything sticking out is weird. Okay. Blue. Okay, does everybody have a color? Looks like it. Yes, yes, yes. Cool. Okay. So now that all this stuff is set up, we need to ungroup everything. I feel like when it's grouped, I get problems. 3D Coat doesn't recognize the selectable objects. I could be wrong, but it feels like I've done it a couple times, and whenever I have everything grouped like this, it messes up the way the OBJ recognizes what I'm trying to do. Okay, so everything's here. The model's relatively low resolution, so I'll probably get smoothing, do some smoothing inside of 3D Coat. I just have to make sure that the smoothing doesn't round out the edges of my UV map. So that's all right. So everything's ready. So what I'll do is I'll just select everything here, and we will go File, Export Selection. Make sure it's an OBJ. Where is OBJ? There it is. And we want to have groups, materials, smoothing, all that's on. That's great. All right, so let's go Export Selection. And I'm just going to pop it. I have a folder in the project underneath production. So scenes, or not scenes, sorry. I have a folder called OBJ. I'll put one for the coat. And I'll call this Dear Girl version 1. Okay, so now she should be exported. I'll open up 3D Coat. And I'm going to say I want to do a paint UV mapped mesh. And this will pop up and ask me what I want to do. I'm going to load the file. Here, projects. Here, Harry Hill, production, 3D, Maya. Here, OBJ, for 3D Coat, Dear Girl, version 1. Now, what I want to make sure I have is we're not going to do any UV set smoothing. I'm probably going to do one level of subdivisions. We could smooth and just keep edges, smooth but keep corners. Probably maybe do that because I am going to round things out eventually. We basically want it to react how things react when we go here. So if we turn on the UV editor and you look at the hands, if the hands are in non-smooth mode, actually maybe the hands are a bad example, but actually just look at the fingertips. So you see how they're squared at the edges? If I press 3 and smooth them, in here they round out a little bit, like these guys round out here, but notice how they're not rounding out in the UV map. So you have to go here, if we go to the actual model, so this one it's preserving edges and corners. If we go here, I think it's under the model here, smooth mesh. You can tell it to use the open Catmull Clark, and I think this one you have to change in the preferences. But if I got it to use something like Maya's Catmull Clark, you'll get a different. See what just happened to the UVs? They turned all round. You can set here. It has smooth UVs. If I turn that off, the UVs don't smooth at all, even though this is smoothing. And this can cause problems like distortions in your textures. Or you can tell it to preserve hard edges, or I'll go smooth all, or do not smooth. Okay, we'll go smooth UVs. Why isn't it doing anything? Oh yeah, there we go. Smooth internal, smooth all, and I think we can tell it. Yeah, if we tell it to preserve the geometry, but we're still getting those squared off edges. So you have to watch for this, because if these get all rounded and we do smooth all and we don't preserve anything, that's going to clip off the edges of whatever you drew here in 3D Coat, or you'll get a slight distortion on the edge of the fingertips. That may not matter to you because you don't get close to it, but it is something to think about, because sometimes even if you look at the knuckles, if you look at the way the knuckles have expanded, the vertices are here, but when I press 3, they kind of expand out, and here they're matching. But if your UV was like at do not smooth at all, and what is it? It wasn't smooth at all, then what will happen is you will have a distortion, because these vertices here, these vertices aren't lined up with the actual vertices. So when you're smoothing, the vertices have moved over. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's how you can get some distortion and stuff like that, especially on edges and corners. But we should be okay. So we're not going to worry too much about it. This is more just a guide anyway. Okay, so we've got all the textures separated. And you'll notice here, everything's coming as a Lambert, not what I want. So this is the reason this is happening. It took me a while to figure this out. Is if you go into Maya, and we go to graph this network, you'll see this matte hair has a shader group called Lambert 4. So we basically have to take this and rename the shader group because that's what it's seeing. So I just copy this. Oh wait, that's the wrong one. So we go graph, network. And this one's head, neck, arm, legs. SG underscore head, neck, arm, legs. Might be a better way to do this. Probably could do it in the attribute editor too, because there it is right there. So just copy this. SG underscore that. Bonk, done. Where were we? I don't know why that's not showing up, but anyways, graph network. Shader group underscore, okay. And then what do we got? I think that's it, graph network. Okay, look, that one's okay. This one's not okay. SG underscore paste. Okay. So that should be all of them. Graph network. Graph network, yeah. Graph network. Okay, so now when I export this, what we should get is we'll go back to the outliner and just select everybody. Export selection. We'll just overwrite. Hopefully it works fine. Okay, and then we'll minimize that. I'll just go new, just to keep it easy. We'll pull her in one more time. We'll do one level of smoothing, that's fine. Keep UVs, smooth but keep corners. We'll see if that works. We'll take a look at the UVs. And there you see that everything's come in properly now with the proper names. And what I'm going to do is increase this to 4K textures. Everything's going to be 4K. We go okay. So she should come in pretty quick. This process is how I've been doing all of the model painting for the characters. Before I was using Mudbox, and I find this is just a little bit better for me. So here you can see all the surface materials. Let's turn on wireframe. This is the UV map over on the left. Oh, whoops. Okay, so things may not, I'm not sure. There's like this little bit of angle on here. I thought I said to do smoothing, but I don't see any subdivisions on this. Doesn't look subdivided really, which is okay, I guess. I'm going to try to import it one more time. Unless the smoothing is happened here. Let's do wireframe here. Okay, it's done one level of smoothing. It's preserved the UV map resolution as it was. So the smoothing's happened here, but not on the actual UV. So let's go file. I just want to see something. I'm sorry, guys. Don't save. Let's just try this one more time on the import. I'm trying to figure this stuff out, and there's not a lot of information on this stuff. Smooth, but keep corners. UV initial subdivision, that's fine. UV map typing, keep UV. We don't want to auto map at all. Import tiles as UV sets. We're not doing that. Invert normals, no center. Auto smoothing groups. Well, treat materials as separate textures. I forgot to put that. We want that for sure. Okay, we'll just leave things as is. It's fine. Oh no, I did 2048. Oh, I'm a dummy. I'm the worst. Let's do that again. I'm the worst. Sorry. Let's bring this in again. Now, I'm not going crazy on the, like what I would normally do if I was really going to do an actual thing where I wanted to paint the character, I would smooth divide this character first. So inside of Maya, because I have the most control over it, so I'd be able to see exactly what the UV maps are doing. So if I smoothed this character, I would know what my UV maps are up to because my UV maps are being smoothed as well. In fact, you know what? Let's just do that because I want this to be more predictable. So this is again why I save like alternate versions of the file. So we'll call this, I'm just going to change this one to, what is it? My ASCII, why is it not there? Oh, I see. Bear with me. Sorry guys, I know this is utterly boring. But you don't have to watch really. It won't hurt my feelings. Okay, where were we? Characters. Were we in work in progress? We were not. We were in production. Dear girl. For 3D coat. I'm going to do high res. Okay, so we'll just smooth all these things. Now, if you watch the UV maps, watch the corners of this here. These corners are getting smoothed the way I want them smoothed. Sometimes what happens if you go into mesh, I believe, is it smooth here? Yeah. You want to make sure how these are checked. I have open div Scatmol Clark, and I have it to preserve sharp edges and corners. If you have it not to, one or the other will change how it, because it could really round these corners out when you do the smoothing, and I don't want that to happen. It also, you can pick how you want it to handle the UV. Preserving edges and corners is the same thing. As long as they're the same, what I have here is the same here, that's what matters to me. So, some lighting tutorials like I did in the giant monster fish and in your show reel of the 3D old man. You know what? I don't know any offhand. I'm thinking about it. So that shot with the old person, that was lit in Maya in the viewport. But there, hang on, I'm trying to think. There's a couple of, you know what I would check if I were you. One of the best places to look for lighting tutorials is in painting. If you do any illustration tutorials or anything like that, it's a bit of a better place for learning lighting than specifically. Some of the 3D tutorials are good. I'm trying to think who had a really good 3D tutorial. I know I watched a 3D tutorial. I'm trying to think. I'm going to think, and then I can recommend you something. But I found for me, so I'm going to delete all the history on this thing. Yeah, the 3D tutorials, painting tutorials were really good at lighting. Oh, hey man, hey Colin, how are you doing? Sorry, I'm doing all these infrequent streams. I'm just trying to, I'm on a really big push to finish stuff, and so I keep doing them. They're they're unscheduled. Colin, do you know of any good lighting tutorials for 3D lighting? There's a whole bunch on, I would say to look into the painting tutorials on the painting sites. Also check flipped normals. I don't know if they talk about it at all, but that's definitely one. File export selection. Okay, where do I want to send this thing to? For 3D coat. Why am I not seeing anything? I'm trying to move fast. Export selection. Doot. Oh, right. The folder structures is driving me crazy here. Okay, so we've exported, this is the high resolution version. So I don't think we're going to have to do any subdivisions in 3D Coat when we import it this time. So we'll cancel this one and let's go new. I could just go import also. I'm going to grab her, open, and set her to 4K. All the textures. I'm not going to do any subdivision. We'll keep the UVs as they are. UV smoothing, we'll do no smoothing because we don't want anything extra happening to them. And let's just go okay and see what happens. Are you asking about this process? If you're asking about this specific process that I'm doing right now, I've kind of been figuring it out, but also some people when I was doing the Twitch stream helped me out figuring out this process, and also some of the 3D Coat tutorials online helped. But as far as lighting and stuff like that goes, I've been learning mostly online. I'm gonna try. I just don't want to waste your guys' time while I look for a proper tutorial on lighting. Actually, there's a really good Boradente. I don't know. I can't remember his actual channel, but his name is Boradente. He does a live stream and he does live painting and stuff on YouTube. He's really good with lighting and critiquing existing artwork. So you guys should check him out too. Okay, so the first thing I have to do is I'm going to add an ambient occlusion pass. And actually, funny enough, 3D Coat is a lot there. This process for baking an ambient occlusion pass is a lot easier than Substance. So I'm going to create a new layer. I'm going to call it AO for ambient occlusion. So all you have to do for that, I'll put on wireframe, is you basically go, oops, get out of here. You basically go here, we go to textures, and we go calculate occlusion. I'm going to use sphere lighting. I'm going to bake it into the layer that I have selected, which is AO. 2048 is lots. And I'm just going to go OK. And it's going to process. And I find it's pretty fast. And the thing that's nice, if I have ambient occlusion, is just a little bit nicer to look at while I'm working on it. And it gives me a better idea of what it actually looks like that I'm doing. Even though that right now with this stage of things, it's not important. Because I'm really just about to do this as a map. Okay, so you can see the AO got baked in. So if I turn this off, you'll see it without, oh, it looks like it it made its own layer, even though I asked it not to. Well, I thought I asked it not to, but I probably did something wrong. We'll just delete that. So we'll just turn this off. It'll take a second because it's a big layer and there's lots of materials. There, that's without it. And then it's coming back on in a moment. And you'll see, for me, it helps me really see what I'm doing and understand what I'm doing better. Okay, perfect. Now, the other thing with this character is 3D Coat supports symmetrical painting. However, this character is not perfectly symmetrical. Even her face is a little bit bent out of shape. So sometimes my brushes don't land on her face properly. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to start painting on her face. And I'm trying to figure out roughly what she looks like. So here's my surface materials here. And in 3D Coat, what I can do is I can turn off surface materials so I can't see them. And that will make them disappear from the actual viewport here. Or I can lock them. But then I should have objects, paintable objects somewhere. Let's see, it should be under paint objects. So there we go. And these guys here are all the objects in the scene. These are the ones this is the reason I ungrouped everything so that these objects would live and I could actually work with them and do something with them. So as far as do I always use 3D Coat or just Maya? I use both. It really depends what I'm doing. 3D Coat, I'm still really new at, and I'm using 3D Coat because I have found its drawing engine is super fast, and most of my texturing stuff, like they have great, like what they call procedural materials, just like Substance. Substance's materials are a little bit better as far as flexibility, and it has like cool adjustment layers. So if you're trying to do procedural digital texturing, I would say probably Substance is a bit better. 3D Coat is really good for, and the reason I'm using it for these things is because I can also sculpt using this program. So once I've drawn on everything, I can go back in and work on it and actually add sculpting detail. So they have a retopology room, a UV mapping room, and a sculpting room where you have it's like ZBrush, ZBrush, Substance, and a bit of kind of like Mudbox all in one. So that's why I've been trying to learn this program and get my head around it a little bit better, because it's more where I'm headed. And the other thing that's cool about it, and even Substance has this too, but let's say, for instance, I want to work on her face. We'll go here because I'm going to focus on her face. Let's turn the wireframe off. Wireframe off. You can actually draw on here, and you can draw on here at the same time and easily switch between the two. So it's really a nice way to work if I'm trying to get really good edges, for instance, on these little tabs here. I can draw them without trying to get in there. So it's just a really good all-around program, and I think it's only like $300 or something like that American. So it's relatively cheap. So it's a good program for me for this specific project. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to lock all the other materials that I don't want to be working on. I'm going to focus on the face, I guess, for now, just to get started. Oh no, this character is for my movie, Colin. So she's the one of the sisters in the film. So also really quick, I have a basic brush here. The brush engine, the brush maker is pretty good in this program, so that you have lots and lots of options. It's a lot like Photoshop, I guess. There's more options in this than there are in some programs, but you can do all this stuff. You can modify whether it's pressure sensitive or not. So this mouse symbol means it's not pressure sensitive, and the mouse means it is. And you can modify a lot of the properties. And you can also paint with Bezier curves, straight lines, selections. Like if I have this brush and I choose this, I can make circles and create shapes just like that instantly. So that's like another couple. There's some really neat features in this program that make it really fun and easy to work with and really flexible. And you can also paint, like not only just paint surface, you can paint depth and you can paint shininess at the same time. So you can change, just like Substance, you can kind of change the depth of the material too. So this depth at 50%, I can modify how that's coming in, and really, really, do some crazy stuff with this program. But for me, I'm just using the really, really, really basics of it. Okay, so I'm also going to put a bit on steady stroke just for a second. One of the main reasons I use this program is because if you watch how fast the brush moves, I get very little lag, especially once I get going. There's very, very little lag on the actual brush, and there's some really, I don't have as many problems with getting glitches or problems on the actual, when I'm drawing. So this is my main focus for this round is not about drawing the exact right lines. It's more trying to get a feel of where everything is, because what I'm going to do next is I'm going to bring all my UV maps and all my textures into Rebelle and start painting on them, right? Because I really want that watercolor feel, and I don't want to be trying to achieve that watercolor feel using a whole bunch of watercolor image samples and stuff like that. I actually really want to be able to grab them directly from what I'm doing. But you can see my character is not 100% symmetrical, which is why some of these lines didn't register, which is okay, because the character, I really don't want things to look mirrored anyway. Okay, sorry, some questions. So the facial expressions for this character will be multiple paintings. But in this actual film, the characters don't have, these characters don't have facial expressions, really. I'll show you something really quick. I know we're going a little off topic. I'm going to go over to my Sketchfab page, and I'll show you the basic breakdown of the characters, because it's a bit easier to see. I'll go to my page here. And I have the characters in here because I had to put them up for Sodak, who are partially funding the project. So this dear girl, that's her right there. This is her brought into Sketchfab. And I just apply a basic texture to her, so you can kind of see the general of what she looks like. But so the characters with facial, these characters won't be emoting very much. The characters mainly just have little eyes. You can see it in the animatic, but this character, this is a more fleshed out one, and this is a little closer to the actual final look of the film. And this character has a mouth and general pieces. I think some of you have probably seen the demo reel with this old man or old woman character in it. So that there's a more articulate mouth on this character. And the same thing goes with the other character back here. This character has, just hang on. Yeah. What's up?
I'm on the phone with Eric and Benoit at a workstation.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know the details, but Benoit's giving me a bunch of details.
Okay. Can you just write them down really quick? I'll be done in a few minutes.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Hey, sorry guys. Just we're sorting out some workstation stuff. Anyways, so just give me a second. Where are my models? So this character, who's one of the main characters, I know she looks super weird in this version, really ugly, but once she's drawn on, she'll look a lot better. This character, you'll see she has eyes that will blink and kind of a puppet mouth. So you see, like, she's rigged up to be way more like a puppet. Let me just change the way this looks really quickly. We'll put wireframe on. We'll put no post-processing. Oh, actually, maybe you kind of need it because it's hard to see. So I'll put it on the wireframe. So you can sort of see she's built to be like a paper puppet. And so her mouth, I'll use some basic blend shapes and stuff to give her mouth a little bit of pull and some bones. But ultimately, this character being the main character will be a lot more expressive. I hope that answers your question. Possibly over answers your question. I'm assuming. And I've lost my chat. Sorry guys, I've lost everybody. Hopefully it doesn't drop the stream just because I left the page. I'm assuming it wouldn't. Okay, there we go. Bup, 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 bup. Did you? Yes, I decided to go with realistic eyes. I feel like it works a lot better. But for these characters, the eyes will just be like weird little hollows that kind of glow. They'll be. I'm just gonna pull this thing up here. Sure, my phone's ringing. Just being slaughtered by needs. Okay, so here on the Instagram page, there's little images somewhere of the character. There she is. So this is kind of the idea of the character. She'll just have like little glowy eyes and like little bags and stuff, and possibly not even a nose. Those characters are all pantomime, so these ones are meant to be fairly loose. So this actual drawing, this will not see the screen. Let's actually turn off her hair. What is that? It's weird. Texture, edit, select, whatever that object is. I'm just going to turn off her hair and her bangs. Where are her bangs? Hair, base, back, hair, bangs. There they are. Okay. So here I just want to get this like ear section done. I think I've got symmetry on, but I'm not sure if it's actually working. Probably works a little bit. And then I have I have the material curling under. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to want to respect that a little bit, and I'll just put like a dotted line or something down there. I'm not sure how I want to do the chin. I'm on the fence about putting a line all the way across like that, which I think looks kind of cool, or just putting like some little dots or some slashes for shading, but we'll figure that out more in Rebelle. Okay, so here it's mostly just trying to figure out what her face's structure is like. Okay. And then the hard part for me has been the eyes. Have been really tricky to figure out where they should be centered. I keep doing them too low because I keep framing her face inside of this space when actually her face is framed up here somewhere. So I'm going to just sort of try to put something in. I'm not even sure what her eye shape is. But I also have to make sure they kind of like, it looks okay from the side and the front. Oh, another thing you can do in 3D Code is just click this and it'll kill perspective for you. So you're not going to get so much perspective shift, which can be really distracting. So this is showing me that I've got her eyes too low. And with the perspective on, I didn't see that. They felt okay, I guess. But really her eyes should probably be up, I don't know, around here somewhere maybe? I'm going to be a little bit sketchy for now, but maybe there. And I'm going to also look at my Instagram post. The eyes were pretty high. But I'm going to kind of map out the structure of her face a little bit. So her nose would kind of be around here somewhere. But again, we're probably not doing a nose. I'm going to turn symmetry off. Okay. Just want to get a sense of this. And I'll play with this a lot more when I'm doing the actual painting. Also, I'm going to put in just some of these little sketch lines and stuff for like freckles and stuff, just so I can get a sense of, I'm not for sure going to give her freckles. I'm not even sure what her race or origin is specifically. I'm sorry if this is off topic. I just completed my short animation void and I learned a lot of my project and now working on new animation, and after that I will lead my portfolio. So I just wanted to ask you, do you offer internships to students? And I asked this question in previous streams also because I'm from starting ED Films. Yes, we do. We do offer internships. We have 2 interns working right now, today. They come in every Friday. And at different parts of the year, different parts of different projects and stuff like that, we offer Internships, of course, absolutely. So the best place to apply is either to m@edfilms.net or write info@edfilms. But if you find you're not getting a hold of anybody, the best way is just to write Emily straight up. But info, most people write at info, and just submit your portfolio. We keep them all, and then we review them every time we're looking for interns or something. We pull out all the old applications and look through them. So I'm not sure if I'm going to give her I don't know if I would give her a mouth. I'm on the fence about actually giving her a mouth. I feel like it could either be okay as long as it was like really simple, or she just needs a little bit of a nose shadow or something. I don't want to. I got to be really careful about how much details I put on these characters because I think they're really easy to break. Okay, so I got to stop pretty soon because I got to leave. But the main point of this stream was just kind of to show you the process that I'm going to be doing. Your eyes are a bit too hawky. Let's put the symmetry back on again. I just kind of wanted to show the process because we did. Emily put an Instagram post up of this, and people seem to be like, "Whoa, it's amazing!" And it's actually pretty basic. So I just thought it might be interesting to let people see the actual process, and so you could get a sense of it. So, where's her hair? There it is. I want her bangs. Let's turn these off for a second. So we've got some ambient occlusion on there. I'm just gonna put her eyebrows. I know I'm pretty sure she'll have eyebrows. Eyebrows are probably a little bit high. Let's actually erase those. Computer's running a little bit slow. I find that if 3D codes are pretty heavy on the graphics card, I find if I'm running anything like screen capturing or anything, it really slows things down. So I'm getting a tiny little bit of lag when I'm drawing, which isn't normal for this program. Okay, next thing is I'm going to unlock the hair. I'll do this. So with the hair, because again, I'll be illustrating a lot of this in 3D Coat, but what I will do is I'll kind of give myself directional cues of major landmarks. You know, like I need to get a sense of like, oops, I don't want symmetry on at all. I need to get a sense of how the hair is going to be moving on the head. So I kind of just go through as quickly as I can and just like sketch in little landmarks. On the whole character. And so just to finish off really and kind of give you the next steps is, let's just draw that in. What I do next is I'll take this here and I'll go export. I won't go export objects with textures. I go to textures and I'll go export and I'll export the color map. And I think if you export it's for you can select which one it's for. So I'll export for the head, neck, arms, and legs, right? And I can go okay, and then I'll export it as like a little PNG file, and I'll bring that into like I'll bring it into a folder of that. For instance, we can put it in 3D Coat characters. I'll put this here for Dear Girl, and I'll just put this under exports, and then we'll just put like whatever it is. It's her face, neck, and then that'll export as an image file. It might take a second. There it goes. So then let me just save this really quick. Okay, Momentary Hill, 3D Maya, 3D Coat characters, Dear Girl. And we'll just save this as Dear Girl 0.001. Okay, so now if I go here, I'll go back into like Rebelle or whatever. And that's kind of my point is I'm going to be using Rebelle. Just bear with me for a little bit longer here. Can you add, I think, as far as using Photoshop brushes, I think there's a way. You just have to export the PNGs. It's better, like it won't import them directly, just like Substance. It won't import them directly. I've exported mine as PNGs and brought them in, and then you kind of have to rebuild them. There's no one-to-one. So I wouldn't. 3D Code's not the most supported software either. It's still a little bit mm, on the fringe. Like it's not the most common thing. But yeah, you can do it. I mean, all my brushes in there. I don't have hardly any brushes set up in 3D Coat there because I mostly just use it for these outline things. But I just import my PNG files. So 3D Coat, characters, dear girl, exports. And see, like you'll see when I bring this in, it's kind of a mess, right? It's a little bit hard to look at, right? So what I normally do here is I'll take we'll go to the hyper shader, rendering editors, hyper shade. And then what I'll do is I'll select objects with this, and then I'll go to the UV editor. I know it seems a little convoluted, but then I'll export this. So I'll go image, UV snapshot. I'm gonna go find it where I want it. Here's the out UVs. I guess I can just do it here. Dear girl, head, neck. Okay, that's fine for now. Just for an example, 4096, okay, that's all good. Apply and close. Close, okay. Well, actually, maybe it didn't work. Let's do it again. Image, UV snapshot, okay. There it goes, okay. So now what I can do here is I'll go into Photoshop. I know I'm jumping around from a million and one programs. Let's close this one out. Okay, I got to stop in literally 3 minutes here. Okay, we'll go open, and I'm going to pull in the, oh geez, it's buried. Where are you? Production, 3D, Maya, material, out UV. Okay, so it's right here. So I'll open this, then I'll put on my wand. I'm just gonna grab everything. So you see what I did? Grabbed all that. And then what I'll do is, actually I can just do it this way too, is I'll go place. Place embedded. I'm gonna file, place embedded. I'm just gonna drop in what I pulled out of 3D Coat. Dear girl, exports, I'll just drop that in. It'll fit right over. I'll reselect everything. Oh. Ugh, get it. Just do it again like that. Okay, then we'll just go here, and then I can just put the mask right on. I'll invert it. So now I've got all this stuff. Actually, and I would probably get rid of, I would also turn off the ambient occlusion layer, which I forgot to do. But this will help house everything. And then I can just save this as like a PNG, or I can do like a quick export file, just like I did with the fence post. I should have a folder for characters. I'll just put it in here for now. So this is messy. You don't want to do stuff like this where you're just like throwing files all over the place. Okay, so we'll just save this like that. And then when I'm back in here, we're gonna get rid of this layer, but we don't want to use this one. We'll add a new one, import image. It'll be this one. So now I have like the UV, and plus I could use I would keep the actual UV lines on this as well. But I can drop this texture I can drop this texture way down, put it down here, and then I can just start redrawing on top of it. And I would have everything mapped out, like the fingernails and all that stuff. Okay, it's just telling me I've got too many different programs running, which is going to slow this thing down. But so once I'm back in here, I'll start like drawing and painting and do what I normally do. Oops, I got the pencil on. And I'd start applying my like cool drippy watercolory feeling to everything. And then eventually just like shut all this stuff off, and then use that texture and bring it back in. So that's kind of the process. It's really fast, really messy, but I hope that I don't know. I hope it's useful. I gotta go. So, anyways, thanks for hanging out. I know there's been a lot of streams. I hope it serves you well in some ways, but I'll see you guys later. Thanks for hanging out.